Focus. Click the links for Odysee, Bit Chute, or to support the channel. So before we get started, let's take a look at Dershowitz's Mr. Alan Dershowitz, who was on BBC the other night, interviewed as a constitutional expert, and they, I guess, didn't think maybe it was a little weird to have someone who was accused of Epstein Island type stuff, literally accused of Epstein Island stuff, also be the expert on the Epstein case, where he was accused of not only flying to the island, but partaking in malum in se acts. And BBC thought it would be wise to have him as their expert. Who's pulling the strings on the BBC? I'm sure I don't know. And before we jump into it, these are the prison guards who were present when the cameras turned themselves off. They were surfing the internet looking for new motorcycles or jet skis or something silly like that with the bribe money that I'm assuming they got paid. I'm not making a statement of fact. I'm just saying there's, the cameras did turn off. Someone turned the cameras off and they were not watching Epstein, who was on a self-harm watch. They were surfing the internet. So, anything is possible. So let me see if I can do this very, very carefully for YouTube. Because YouTube is not, get in focus, is not what it used to be. It used to be a place where you put your own news online. And now YouTube says, we're going to keep you safe from news that's not pre-approved of, that's not coming straight from CNN type of thing. So we're going to kind of shadow ban that. They openly say it in their little warnings as you scroll through your front page. They say, yeah, we're going to hide news that doesn't meet our standards or something. You're like, wait, wasn't YouTube just people coming online? It was it was YouTube. It was you getting online and being interactive. It's like if people wanted CNN, they would go turn on their TV for non-interactive. No, we're getting away from that. I mean, Google bought out YouTube. It is what it is. If you want the news now, the best place is Odysee and Bit Chute also, but Odysee has live streaming. Okay, so it's going to be a tricky video to make for YouTube. Epstein, Mossad, and Maxwells Deadpool, because loose lips sink ships, and I think she knows it also. So a child trafficking case finished, and the coverage seems just a little bit light. Just, you would think there'd be more people interested in finding out what's going on with a child trafficking case, especially when you consider the history of Israeli spying on America and the almost certainty that Epstein and Maxwell were spying for Israel, at least in some capacity. When people say someone's the equivalent of a Fed or a Mossad agent, it doesn't mean that they trained in Virginia. It means that they're working in some capacity for them for either ideological reasons or perhaps financial reasons or religious reasons or what, like that Ray Epps guy who has been, people kind of are finally catching on to that with the J6 guys. So one would think the story would be bigger than it is. Like, obviously the next question is, who were the other people at the island? Were Bill Gates, Alan Dershowitz, or Bill Clinton there? And if they were there at this party island, what were they doing on that island? Were they just having fun with a little pharmaceutical? I mean, it seems weird that you would fly to an island to have a meeting, a barbecue or something like that. Like, you can have that in the States, except in the island you can have underage people as party favors. And in the States, you're not as likely to have that. They thought they were safe leaving the country. And it's like how the honeypots obviously work is you just put cameras everywhere in the house. Everywhere. And some of these people are so high on their own supply, they'll pose for photographs like that. So Zero Hedge asks, so are any of the men who abuse these underage girls actually going to face justice or at least be named? Oh, you sweet summer child. So someone in the comments make something about, they said this about Epstein too, that they think, oh, well, he sneaked away back to Israel and he's hiding out in one of the communities. The thing is, there's no honor among thieves. If someone is a loose thread, a loose cannon, it's just easy to have him taken care of permanently, because dead men tell no tales. So with the thing of like, oh, they snuck him out of the prison and then they snuck him out on a flight or a ship out of the country, it's just easier to kill him. It's like Occam's razor. It's like you don't want somebody like that alive. Like, where the same thing is going with the prison guards. Like, they're quiet now, But in a few months or maybe a year, something's going to happen to them, because those are two other loose threads that you can't just let go. Okay, so I won't, Barry, I wish this thing had auto scroll. Let me get to the names of the people who are on the flight. So I suspect that besides the Mossad honeypot blackmail issue, some of the people who own these media companies were also on those flights. So if you're a reporter who works for the Gotham Times and the owner of the newspaper is a frequent flyer on Epstein Air, you're just going to look at your editor and you guys are going to be like, okay, let's cover it very lightly so we don't get fired. What else are you going to do? And it's like, not just cover it, not just so you don't get fired, but so you don't get killed in a tragic mugging accident gone wrong, or a drug deal gone wrong, like Vince Foster type of thing. You don't self-harm yourself to completion at home because carbon monoxide. Oh, they're found. The whole family was found deleted because of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's like, yeah, the geology for the area doesn't support carbon monoxide. It's the wrong geology. It's the wrong soil type. There's no carbon monoxide in this area. You can test the soil and prove it. Somebody put a tube in the house and pumped it full of carbon monoxide and just put them to sleep forever. Oh, well, you're becoming a problem for us also. Would you like to suffer some carbon monoxide poisoning? Life is real cheap. That's the truth of the matter. Anyway, so especially in a commercial zone nation that used to be a nation, now it's just an economic zone for billionaire bankers and NGOs. So the next thing to consider is, if they can bribe the guards, who, to be fair, look like idiots, I showed the picture, and sneak in someone hired a hitman to strangle someone, then they're very dangerous people who can also just delete the reporters if they're in their way. And, this whole, like in the 80s, there were movies about these brave reporters who would go there and stand up to the man and do all this kind of dangerous stuff. It's like, no, that's movies that Hollywood types made to blow smoke up their own butt. If you think reporters are going to go out and try to bust this thing wide open, it's like, no, that's probably not going to happen. They just don't care enough. It's just a salary for them to push propaganda, to push a narrative. So the thing is, when considering what to write about, the reporter realizes that they could also very easily die in an accident, in quotes. So speaking of which, call me Nostradamus, because I predict that Soros or the Rothschilds or Klaus Schwab or whoever's pulling the strings on this are going to see to it that both of Epstein's prison guards are going to have a quote-unquote tragic accident. There are two loose threads, and the puppet masters definitely need to tie those up. So after Maxwell goes to prison and she slips in the shower and breaks her neck, or is stabbed in an area of the prison where there are no cameras, or the camera didn't work, I mean, it's going to be obvious. It doesn't matter. Epstein was obvious and no one did anything about it. Like, Epstein deleted himself in prison, the cameras were off, and you look at those two guards and you're like, yeah, they said, listen, we know where you live. We know you have kids. We can hit you as easily as we can hit anyone on earth. Here's $1 million in a paper bag, or here's a Cayman Island account. This is your number. You can access it. You can move it around very carefully. You don't obviously want to start buying $200,000 cars, but it's like, you're going to be fine the rest of your life. You don't even have to stay in the country. Here's $1 million each. All you have to do is turn off the cameras and let this guy in, and he's going to delete Epstein. It's like, yeah, of course they're going to take it, because it's, the old Spanish saying, silver or lead. You take the bribe or you take the bullet. It's like they can get rid of you. But the thing is, what the guards don't realize is, like, there's still two loose threads. They're going to get rid of them sooner or later. What will happen is they'll die in a tragic fire. They'll be tied up and dead before the house burns down, but that will just, like, it'll happen, 6 months from now, and it'll just be in and out of the news. Because, the reporters are, nobody is taking a stand and sticking their neck out for a country that's no longer a country. It's just a commercial zone. It's just an economic zone. Like, what are you fighting for? What kind of country are you fighting for? There's no patriotism in a diverse multicultural state, because there's nothing to be patriotic for. That whole concept of diversity is strength was a lie, obviously, the whole time. So, like, you can do all this kind of slippery stuff where no one cares. Nobody sticks their neck out for anything. So what happens is people who do have in-group preference and a agenda are just going to slowly seize control and rule. I mean, it eventually becomes like Twitter America or Bank of America run America, or, whoever's pulling the strings on the banks and these big tech NGOs. It's like there's a GPPP thing, which is a global partnership deal where NGOs get together, and they're openly talking about it. It's like they say basically that they can run countries better as commercial entities than as countries themselves. And what they do is, the goal is to diversify them as much as possible, so people have nothing in common. They have no roots. They're completely just a cut-off, rootless people they're just cattle. They're easily controlled cattle. Anyway, so Maxwell and the two guards are 3 threads that are going to get tied up very shortly. So the judge gets promoted to the Court of Appeals, and the Mossad spy honeypot gets swept under the rug. But all that blackmail information, all those hard drives and the photographs, that's still controlled probably by Mossad or by some bad actor. And I better not go into that. In fact, I better leave it at this for the YouTube version of this. I did another version on Odysee and Bit Chute, which is more honest, but it's just not, YouTube is just not what it used to be. This is Zero Hedge, which is getting more and more based, and this stuff goes on and on and on. People are waking up, and the thing is like, oh my gosh, people are waking up. It's like, yeah, what are they going to do with the information? Where are they going to take it? Oh, they'll take it to the media and they'll break the story wide open. No, they won't. They just won't. The mainstream media? No, the mainstream media won't do shit. The alt media will, but the alt media doesn't quite have the reach the mainstream media does, or even the mainstream social media. So like, yeah, there's a lot of people who are very, very aware of what's going on about Dershowitz and all these other characters. It's like there's nowhere to take the information because the media isn't the media anymore. The media hasn't been the media maybe in 40 years because America is not America anymore. It's just an economic zone full of people who don't even have nothing in common with each other. You can create a nation out of it, out of this mess we have left, and create something new. Smaller regions within America would be the only way to try to save it. Anyway, let's see if this is allowed on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.